Michael Blue, founder of LGND.art. I'm happy to be here with REIMAGINE.
Hello, and welcome everybody to REIMAGINE 2021. This is actually our 1-year anniversary and 10th edition of our conference that we've been hosting every month as part of a series, bringing you nothing but the best projects, bright minds, and leaders in the space. We've been fortunate enough to invite many talented individuals and teams to come speak with us, providing updates, insights, and all the above that's happening in crypto. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I'll be your host today, Adam, from the Mousebell team, where we focus on early stage investments through our accelerator, or providing development support to a number of growing projects, as well as education within our Mousebell University program. Our main objectives and goals are pretty simple. It's increasing adoption, use cases, and real-world applications. REIMAGINE kind of sits around all of these concepts and perspectives, and so we're just fortunate to be able to provide you all these interviews and recordings. So today, enough talking on my end. I'm joined here by Michael Blue, founder at LGND.art. Again, Michael, thank you for taking out of the time out of your day to come join us. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. Thank you, Adam, for having me on today. This is a real privilege.
Awesome. So, what you've been working on for with your project has kind of been taken off for like the last 6 months, although NFTs in the space, in the art world and the music world have been kind of snowballing for quite some time. And, needless to say that it's kind of blown up this year. But before we get into that, give us a little background. You haven't been on the program before. Very happy to have you. Share kind of your path. Everybody that we've talked to has a different journey, goes down this rabbit hole. So we'd love to hear kind of your way into blockchain.
Well, my way into blockchain was, if you can't touch it, you don't own it. So I owned a national precious metal brokerage for a number of years, hard metal guy. So I had back in 2011, I had a client ask me, "Hey, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? I'm thinking about pulling the trigger." And I was like, "Good luck with that." That fantasy internet money. It's like I was a big zero hedge reader, and it was very anti-Bitcoin back then. And so I hadn't known a lot about it. I was more just preconditioned by thoughts that I've read. And so I was more like, if you can't touch it, you don't own it, right? That sounded good to me. So fortunately, he didn't heed my warnings. And fortunately, I ran across the Satoshi white paper not too long after that, and I actually read it and was nearly blown away by it, right? And I the little light bulb that goes on for so many of us went on. It was right near the end of me wanting to sell the brokerage and just get out of that. I was done with it. It's a fear trade, right? The dollar's crashing. You got to get gold and silver, and I still believe that gold and silver is an amazing hedge. I don't buy the drop gold narrative at all. I think crypto and precious metals are valuable assets in a portfolio. But the white paper did make me have an aha moment to where I took some of those profits and invested in Bitcoin. But it wasn't for about a year and a half after that, maybe 2 years, to when Ethereum came around, and I got to see the smart contract in real time use case that said, okay, the game's on. This is going to change the world. Being able to send value, in a contract form to where you can set the parameters. It's trustless. So that's what the world needed. And after that, I was all in and sold the brokerage, and I was full-time crypto investor / student of this new asset class.
That's crazy. Completely going from one end of the spectrum to now being heavily involved in the space and being successful. And I'm sure a lot of people, right, that are tuning in are probably in the same boat. I come from banking, so I came across Bitcoin in 2013, and somebody was buying $100,000 worth, and I wasn't sure what to do. Didn't quite get it at that point. Obviously, had to do some more reading. But would you say that, is Bitcoin like digital gold? Like, are you in that kind of camp that's similar, just kind of new wave of innovation here?
I'm kind of torn. I do see the why they would coin it as digital gold. With that being said, it still can be used peer to peer, right? It just takes 10 minutes or sometimes longer, and the fees can get kind of crazy. So I don't see it as a scalable, mass adoptive solution. You're gonna have to use layer 2 solutions, which why not just use a next generation blockchain to begin with? Because using layer 2 solutions, you're still it's not as good as a next generation blockchain, right? So in my opinion, there's just better technology for mass adoption and for scaling the world. I do still believe that, with that being said, blockchain has a place, Bitcoin has a place, and that I do firmly believe, I'm very bullish on it long term. But
so you mean like store of value as opposed to everyday usage?
I see that it's going to be exactly, and that's where the gold comes in. Is it's going to be not heavily transacted upon, but it's going to be sitting in the vault basically, and used in some capacities for DeFi.
And how do you see, like, it's interesting coming from, like, I guess, the commodities world, like, how do you see blockchain impacting, maybe a couple minutes here, your thoughts, I guess, because a lot of people were trying to tokenize gold and silver and kind of, I don't know, digitizing that out. Like, is that, will that kind of disrupt it even more? It won't make it.
Yeah. I think eventually, I think everything is going to be touched by blockchain, right? Whether it's NFTs or smart contracts or just hashing to the blockchain. I think it's going to touch everything. And as far as like securitizing gold and silver and other assets like that to the blockchain, I think that day is coming too. Not necessarily for the use and liquidity, but more the documenting and to the reassurance, the validity of said asset. But I think both will apply.
That's interesting that you bring that up. People are probably wondering, like, why doesn't it be on the blockchain? Relating blockchain to Bitcoin or crypto in general, but you kind of just like hinted on it. It's not necessarily always for the speculation or the liquidity aspect of it, which that's kind of a use case that people are trying to involve or integrate or implement or make it more efficient. But on the back end of that, you brought up a good point that blockchain, for those watching, like, it's not always about the crypto coin or the token. It's also about track and trace. It's also about records. It's also about security, being able to identify provenance, right? And I think those are important aspects. As you mentioned, it kind of, when you start talking about blockchain and what it does, it may touch everything that we use, that's part of our daily lives. And I think those are critical, like, important aspects to what blockchain provides.
Well, exactly. Well stated. I talk to people almost on a daily basis that know very little about blockchain, because we're offering, Yoshi Drops is it's Legend Group. Our holdings are LGND.art, YoshiDrops.com, and theuplift.world. So talking about Yoshi Drops for a second, this is where I'm talking to musicians on a daily basis. Today, I was talking to one of the top drummers in the world, right, about Yoshi Drops and what the value opportunity is for him, and basically educating him about blockchain, about NFTs. A lot of people haven't even heard these concepts before, right? They've heard of Bitcoin, to a certain, they still kind of, it's digital something, right?
Yep.
But just really talking to this gentleman and just saying, imagine you've just written a song, right? You feel like it's a hit, right? Well, your first stop would be Yoshi Drops. We create that, even if it's an unfinished, it's something that you're not even going to sell. You just want to document it. We'll take that. We'll put it under your account. We'll put all your metadata on it. You know, who wrote it, what it's about, the lyrics and the metadata. You've got a sample piece of it. We'll put that file on the blockchain, and it's distributed ledger, which means that this is a ledger that is throughout the world, and not one single entity can change that transaction once it's confirmed on the blockchain. So imagine now, 3 years ago, you put this song on the blockchain and it's attributed to you. All the metadata is there. Everybody knows you can't change it. It is what it is. 1 + 1 = 2. There's no dispute. It has the time, date. It's hashed on the blockchain forever. 2 years later, somebody, starts airing this song that you wrote. You don't know how they got it, but they got it, and now they're making money off of it, right? And it's your IP, and you can prove it. So that you can do this for anything that you can think of, a book, an idea, an image that you think is a winner, right? A short film, a full film, a song, right? A drawing. So any type of intellectual property that can be digitized can now be secured on the blockchain for all to see and for all of history to see that this person put this on the blockchain at this time and date, and that cannot be changed. It is what it is, and it's provable in a court of law.
No, that's amazing. And I think, a lot of education's involved in terms of, talking about this, awareness on like the NFT space. How did you get involved? So Yoshi Drops, Uplift.world, before we kind of get into both of those, how did you land into these projects? And if you can elaborate on kind of that process, because and we'll just keep it on NFTs, right? There's DeFi, there's blockchain and enterprise, and they're all just different utilities, and NFTs. So DeFi is larger in volume in terms of value,
Yeah.
but NFTs are more popular and more mainstream, right? We kind of understand it. We understand DeFi too, but it's cumbersome. There's a lot of challenges on that front.
Well,
But on that, go ahead. Yeah.
This is where it gets exciting, because here at Legend Group, we're now combining DeFi with NFTs. So we're doing some really inventive, fun things that have already been launched, and some bigger missions and visions that are going to soon to be launched, where DeFi is going to be intimately integrated with NFTs, and NFTs intimately integrated with DeFi. But just going back to your question is, how I got started in this space is that, well, I've been in it as an investor for many years, and a student, right? And we're all students, because this is changing, as it's changing daily. The innovations are just mind blowing that are happening in the space, and it's really going to change the whole financial world. I was, my wife and I adopted a 9-year-old girl from Haiti. We've got 2 natural born sons, and it took a 4-year process to go through this. There's a lot of red tape, a lot of, if in Haiti, if the agency runs out of fax paper, it could be a week, right? Before it's not an Amazon.com world down there, right? Yeah. So if you run out of ink, it could be a couple of weeks, a month, right? Then, it's just, and they're on island time too. So it's not like us, hey, it's 12, where are they, right? It's like, 2 days later, hey, so, which reminds me of me being late for the call, which I apologize. So being in Haiti and spending so much time in Haiti, and I don't know if you remember, 11 years ago, there was a massive earthquake in Haiti.
Yeah.
And the world rallied, right? The whole world rallied, and billions of dollars was issued and fundraised for the efforts. And you go back there even today, and you look around and you go, where the hell did that money go? Right? I mean, It's like, this place is broken.
Totally.
And then you dig into the details and you find out, like, where did that money go? And you run into just a mass amount of misappropriation to corruption, right? And so, being so heavy in the blockchain space, and blockchain being transparent ledger to where, the transactions are open, right? And you can see the flow of funds. I said, well, this is a great opportunity to bring some, visibility to the charitable space. So hence I started Uplift.art, which is, I call it a philanthropic technology company that leverages blockchain and NFTs to build schools and feed those children in Haiti. And to date, we've raised close to $1 million in value to build schools and feed those students. And that's an ongoing thing that is near and dear to my heart that, we'll continue supporting and driving forward as the years go by. But so that was the start, is Uplift.art. And the community that I was able to garner from that, and the quality of people, and from blockchain engineers to community members to marketers to writers to people just saying, "Hey, what do you need? Man, I'll sweep the floors. I just want to help." Right. So we just created this really robust, beautiful community that just really wanted to do good in the world and wanted to use this technology for good. And since then, we've coined the phrase, we're building a win-win-win economy, to where everything that we do, we're thinking of who else can benefit from this. Like, the artists that we're working with in Yoshi Drops, right? For example, we defined a model to put the artist, the creator, actually on top of the food chain for the first time in history, right? Yep. Alongside of their fans who are helping fund their tours, helping fund their next albums, right? So not that we're cutting the labels out. This is the record company's next MP3 moment, right? When MP3s came out, the record labels, they were left behind because they were fighting each other, right? They were fighting each other for dominance. But then meantime, the tech companies saw those record labels fighting over there and said, "Oh, okay, well, we're going to do this thing called streaming, right? You guys go ahead and fight over there. We're going to do streaming, right?" And Spotify's and the Apples and all that came out, and now the record labels are under the tech giants' thumbs, right? Yep. But so are the artists, right? So we're designing an ecosystem where everybody can win. Now, this is going to take a little bit of changing of the deck chairs for the record companies and the Spotify's. If they don't get on, the new NFT moment is called the new MP3 moment is called NFT. So again, they're either going to miss the boat or they're going to get on the boat. And we've designed a scalable solution that we can share with them, right? We want everybody to win. So we're not here to cut them out or say no, or hey, we're taking over. We're saying, hey guys, this is a way that we can all win, right? It's a new way. There's a win-win-win, but the artists, the creators of this IP are going to be on top, right? So let's be okay with that, right? Everybody's going to win. There's going to be plenty for all. So that's kind of the solution that we're presenting for the industry right now.
No, and that's important, because at the moment, a lot of the musicians and artists aren't making money off of their art, off of their music, right? It's kind of outside of that. And I would say like a lot of the it's peer-to-peer. So like right now, Instagram, Facebook Live, all of these, things where you're pretty much in your celebrities' lives. I feel like this is the next level of that, right? From Web 2.0 to Web 3. Now we're offering direct exchange of benefits, of services, to not only like the artist, to the fans, but just connecting a lot more efficiently, effectively, and being more direct. And it kind of goes back to this blockchain. It goes back to the reason, or how you got into it was charitable donations. And I think that's a big one too. Binance, right, has its own charity like department or team that's focusing on that. Because it's funny, I did look up one time the salaries of a lot of these charitable donations, and the CEOs or the executive management is like crazy. And I think that's kind of a thing that we can innovate on, and making sure that.
Well, and the thing is that the one of the reasons why the charitable space is broken is because we kind of, as society, think that this business, which so happens to be a charity, should be run by broke college students, right?
Yeah.
They can't, these charities, they can't retain good talent It's a revolving door because they can only pay these really measly wages.
Yeah,
So the top talent that's coming out of these universities, they want to work for the Googles and the
for sure.
Microsofts, right? Because they've got the bonus structures. And so the charities can't compete if everybody says, hey, you guys should all be working for free, right? So what we've designed in this win-win economy is that there's a place for, like, for example, I want to have a business, and fortunately I'm doing this. I want to have a business where I can hire the best talent, pay them their win. What is it that makes you win, right? I want to make you happy using their superpower, using a knife for a knife, right? At the same time, being able to elevate a philanthropic cause in a proper way, in an efficient way, to where that money is directed in an efficient manner that it's built, right? Yep. And then you bring in the community that's winning as well. And because of this technology, we can do it, and we can do it in a transparent way, so everybody can look at the math and say, hey, this is great. All sides are getting their wins.
And blockchain is all about community. We just had an event last month, and it was Game of Chains Battle for the Throne, and it was about the layer ones, layer twos, new technology. But what it comes down to, and this kind of trickles into not only it's a very important aspect of the technology part, but it's community. How important is community in the blockchain space, in the crypto space?
Oh, it's the jewel, right? I mean, it's the fuel. Without community, you don't have a project, right?
And you're right on. Like, you could have the best tech, but if there's nobody supporting it, it's nothing. And then you could have some tech that gets the job done, but the community is just, spectacular, where you have resources, you have support, everybody is engaged, active, participating, which kind of brings all of us up and keeps you engaged in that, using that technology for whatever reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, we've got a very vibrant, passionate community. I feel so blessed, to be amongst, what's been created. But yeah, the community, it's the cyclical, right, nature, right? It's like, you inspire them, they inspire you, and it's this feedback loop, right? But at the same time, if you're not delivering, or you keep making blunders and mistakes, then you get that instant feedback, and the shot in the crotch, right, to wake you up, and then that forces you to iterate and make good, right? So
you're held accountable.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, being engaged with the community it's vital, and it's what's allowed for our success.
And which is great, and I wanted to highlight that, right? It takes a lot of people to kind of contribute in one way or another, and you are held accountable. And I think that's kind of, blockchain in general flips a lot of things upside down, from healthcare to governments to enterprises, right? Like, it's transparent, it's open. Anybody has it democratizes a lot of things, and that's not the way, like, how we operate. And being accountable is kind of the opposite, where a lot of these big entities do make mistakes, and we have to live with it. Where in the blockchain community space, you're definitely have to live by it, and make sure that you're holding your own ground. Going back to the NFTs real quick, so like in this metaverse and physical world, how do you see it? How do you see it working? Like, going back to your original thought of, like, if you don't, I forget what you said, like, if you don't own it or hold it,
yeah, if you can't touch it, you don't own it.
So is this kind of a mindset? Is this inevitable? Where, like you said, we used to hold records and CDs, and now we're streaming, and we don't have the physical item anymore. Do we care about it? I'm not sure. I'm sure there's varying degrees on what the application is for, but I don't know. Incite me in terms of, like, yeah, if I don't have it, like, do I own it? What's kind of the value? Where do you see the value coming from?
Yeah, today's world is, it seems like it's more and more growing digital ownership. I mean, from the games we play, it's our our life is, in these
Yeah.
things right here, right?
Yep.
So, but you touched on a very interesting point there. Like we're leasing our music, right? In the old days, we had our vinyl records, and interesting, vinyl records recently just outpaced CD sales for the first time in a long time. So
Whoa.
there's definitely a niche,
Yeah.
growing market for physical vinyls again.
I just saw somebody walking from Amoeba Records right here from Haight Street, and it was a young high schooler actually. And I asked him what did he buy, and he bought some old school classics. But it was just funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of our partners is one of the largest digital vinyl collectors in the world,
Oh wow.
and he inspired a product line for Yoshi Drops called Digital Vinyls, and these are NFTs, but we call them digital vinyls. It's music. They're vinyl records, digital. But this is music now that you can own. So for the first time,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
since the old world, right, that you could actually own your music, because we live in a leasing model now. We lease our music from Spotify or the like, right? So we don't own it, and we as humans, we just instinctually like to collect things, right? We like our things, right? And to look through your collection and look through that album art. Remember the day of pulling out the album art or looking at the album cover and just dreaming as you're listening to the album, right? Well, we've lost that. So we've introduced it into the NFT space called digital vinyls, to where, you're going to have your app and you're going to be able to stream. You're going to have your collection of digital vinyls, and you're going to be able to buy, sell, share, collect your digital vinyls to a global audience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without asking anybody's permission. So, we're moving into a world where you can sell your entire collection to somebody in Japan if you want to, or you can buy that special piece that you've been looking for from somebody, in Ecuador that has it, right? So that's the world we're living in. And then you can also just take these and you can also display them on your smart TV for your party or whatnot, right?
Sure.
And hey, check out, I own this collection that we're listening to, right? And it starts, it's conversation like, oh, how does that work? Like, you own this? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I remember the digital vinyls. I remember the vinyls. I've got some, and it's just like, now we're getting into the whole bootleg thing with Yoshi Drops. We're working in conjunction with the artists themselves, right?
Yeah.
So we have a whole new touring model NFT package for our touring artists that's going to put a whole new revenue driver into their lives. That just yesterday was just t-shirts and tickets.
Totally.
And now they have an NFT model that can follow them around
in perpetuity,
from event to event. Yes.
Right. It resells and everybody kind of gets a piece. I saw you write something that's pretty interesting, and I thought about this, like, what happens if you don't have a following? Like, is NFTs going to save your artist, your career in like art, in music? I feel like, NFT is not a end all be all or like a lifesaver. I feel like it's just another avenue maybe for these musicians to distribute.
Well, just going back to the community thing, everything is community, right? So if you're an amazing artist who's in his cave all the time, right?
Yeah.
And he has no audience, right? Then he can make an NFT, but then who does he share it with? He can put it on the exchange, right?
For sure.
And somebody scrolling through it can say, oh, that's beautiful, and buy it. So there's something still for that person. He can still, for one, he's going to securitize his art. He can make editions of the art, and he can put it out there for sale on the exchange, and people will stumble upon it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not going to be a massive revenue driver for most artists that are just sitting in a cave by themselves, right? Where it becomes really profitable are for those artists that are actually engaged with the world, and they have a following. They have a group of people that just admire what they do, and they can say, hey, look at this new piece that I just finished. You're the first to see it. And by the way, I've got it for sale for the next 24 hours for anybody who wants to grab one and add it to your collection, right? So that's when it really becomes real for these artists. And then when you're talking to a band, right? And let's say they have, 100,000 fans. let's say 1% of their fans, which would be a low number. I think it's more like 2 to 5%. But let's say 1% of their fan base would be interested in holding a collectible of the band that they love, right?
Totally.
And they're at a concert, or they're out in social media. They say, hey, we just put this idea out there. We're thinking this could be our next single. It's a 30-second clip of them doing some in the car acoustic version of something cool, but their fan base will go, oh man, that's going to be so cool, because they can envision the produced version of it. Now that's a collectible that I guarantee 1% of that passionate fan base, probably a lot more, would love to have, especially if they can come through a frictionless platform such as LGND.art and use their credit card and not have to worry about MetaMask or any type of keys or stuff. They can just use their credit card, their account is established, and they can interact and share their NFT in a frictionless manner. So that's where it gets really real for the bands and artists, when they can offer these valuable moments and valuable, collectible
sentimental
types of,
sentimental for their fan base. And then where I forgot what I was gonna ask actually, but no, I think like that's kind of a direct application for them. Oh yeah, like sentimental. How do you feel when people see like a $70 million NFT going for sale? And then right now we're talking about kind of a priceless NFT, right? And I think even for me, like, over the last few months, trying to grasp what an NFT is, do I own it, copyrights and all this. How do you see kind of these valuations being like super crazy as opposed to NFTs just being valued, to each of their own?
Right. Well, we're in the Wild West phase of NFTs. This new, this new frontier of digital asset ownership, right? So, plus, crypto is the Wild West with these amazing, millionaires and billionaires are being formed, right? So you've got a lot of liquidity sloshing around, and this new asset class, there's going to be all kinds of, highs and lows, price discovery playing out over the months and years. So yeah, I mean, I think the $69 million, NFT is, a little insane. And I think that was more of and I think it's been proven to be a publicity stunt, but, I think there's some shenanigans there. That's not the real state of NFTs. The real state of NFTs is forming now. And you can really see this in the Wax ecosystem. And this is one reason why we started, even though we're blockchain agnostic, and in the future, we are building now what's the atomic swap of NFTs, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Which means what? Being able to, for my guests, right? To be able to swap assets in between, interoperability amongst different chains.
Okay, right now we're living in a world where if you're a Yahoo email address and somebody else has a Gmail, you're going, Yahoo is better than Gmail. No, Gmail is better than Yahoo.
Totally.
And you can't send a Yahoo email to Gmail account, right? Yeah. They're in two different worlds. They're like this. Okay, that's kind of where we're at for the most part with blockchain. Like everybody's going like this, like, hey, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. I'm faster. Well, I can do more characters, right? So what we're building is this, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're on Wax or if you're on Ethereum or if you're on Binance Smart Chain or anything that has an EVM, which basically means the intelligent mind that we can interconnect with and communicate with. So we're creating that communication layer for the NFT ecosystem. So we don't even want to talk about blockchain, right?
Yeah, totally.
We just want you to come. You want this piece of art. You want this piece of music. It's collectible. It's limited. And then you send it to wherever you want to send it. The wallet automatically knows where that needs to go and how to convert that in a way that it can be read on the other side, right? So that's the future that is inevitably coming anyways. And we're just choosing to build it now.
And I do want to touch on that a little bit on Wax, the blockchain. Everybody out there has heard of a Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum, right? Solana's of the world, Polka Dots. What was the reasoning? But we just had this event, so we've had a lot of layer ones, layer twos, and And like you said, pros and cons, and some are niche, some are specific. Do you see a world of multiple chains, hundreds, thousands of chains, and not only that, but more importantly, like, yeah, what are some of the pros, I guess, to developing on Wax?
Well, many blockchains have their superpower, right? What we loved about Wax from the beginning is a couple things. Well, if you go to blocktivity.info and it lists all the major blockchains and it shows you the activity and the transactions and the record and all that good stuff. And it's the most transacted upon blockchain in the world. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of people have not even heard of Wax, but yet again, it's doing the most transactions. And it's doing the most transactions in NFTs as well. So what we liked about Wax is that it's instant transactions and free transactions. So for mass adoption, you need to be as frictionless as possible. It needs to feel like what they're used to now, right? You push a button, you get the thing, right?
Yep.
So in the current blockchain space, there's just a lot of friction points. So Wax, one, it's battle tested. It's been around for 3 years. It's been transacted upon like hundreds of millions of times, right? It's been botted, it's been attacked, it's been this and that. So it's gone through battle. It's been through war, right? And it's standing. It's getting stronger. It has a very robust, decentralized, development community that just keeps innovating on it. It's years beyond where Ethereum wants to go now with their POS. So I believe Ethereum will get to POS, but Wax is already 2 years ahead of where they want to be. So for me as a businessman, putting a lot of money into a venture, right? I'm just looking for technology that does what I need it to do in the most efficient, frictionless manner.
Totally.
And that's Wax, okay? Because it's battle tested, it's proven, it was purpose built for NFTs by the leading company of digital assets in the world, from the guy that built Tether, from the guy that was the second angel investor in Ethereum and first built his business on Ethereum and said, whoa, this isn't going to work, built Wax purposely for NFTs, and it just works so well, right? I mean, once you go to Wax and you dive into the ecosystem, you see how easy it is and frictionless. One click to open a wallet.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, like where is everybody, right? It's
it's
growing, and there's tons of projects, and but looking at the price currently, you wouldn't say that it's the most transacted blockchain in the world, but it is, and it's amazing. So, but with that being said, we're also agnostic. Like, we're just starting out on Wax, but we're gonna build bridges to every. We're currently building to Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, EOS, right? Everybody that has an EVM will be connected to, because that's the future. I mean, there's always going to be Ethereum maximalist. There's always going to be hollow chain, whatever maximalist. There's going to be, we pick tribes. We recognize that. We're not going to try to convince you our chain's better than yours. You come over here. That's it's kind of like, hey, how can we reach you? How can we serve you? Here's a bridge. Try us out if you want, or stay there. It doesn't matter, right? It's like, trying to convince somebody to come to Yahoo. Like, come on, like, do it really?
For sure. No, you touched on that. And like at one point it was very siloed and tribalism, and like everybody was on one chain and not the other. And things have loosened up a little bit. A lot of bridges being built, a lot of communities coming together, trying to figure out, like, obviously, how can we, move assets from, not only move assets, but move assets to just as qualified of a chain, right? It's not just, let's just bridge to anything. We got to meet the standards, make sure it's secure, make sure, it maintains its integrity as much as possible.
Exactly.
Last thing. So for Yoshi drops and like Uplift World, I want to conclude here a little bit. Like, what are the profiles for people that are going to watch our interview? Like, who are you serving? Give us a list. Who are the user base? Who are you targeting? And how are they leveraging kind of Yoshi drops and Uplift.world?
Great question. Okay, so let's start with Legend.art. That's LGND.art. That is our fine art offering. So we're literally working with the best in class fine artists around the world. Check out, who's been dropping through our ecosystem already. It's the best of the best, right? And growing. We're really serving, the high end collectors. Imagine, Christie's evolving into a scalable blockchain NFT space. That's kind of like the niche market audience that we're targeting. With YoshiDrops.com, we're servicing artists, musicians, and their fans, and that's basically a way for you to collect, buy, sell, and share. NFT is music, so we make music collectible and ownable. And then with the Uplift.world, that's our metaverse. So it's really an ecosystem for those that, and I truly believe that everything's headed towards the metaverse. I believe there'll be many metaverses. There won't be one that rules them all, like Ready Player One, but many that kind of that meet each other through these bridges, right? So we're building the Uplift.world. It's already built. We're in alpha. There's already participants in there. It's a very creative community. We're a place where you can own land, you can monetize your land, you can sell your land, you can build galleries, you can put your art up in the galleries. There's games going on there. There's on and on. It's a very beautiful ecosystem built on gratitude and a win-win-win economy. All three of our platforms leverage DeFi in a very unique, innovative way that's never been done, and we're rolling out some pretty incredible features and products in the coming weeks and months.
Great. No, we'd love to obviously have you back and dive into that a little bit more. Where can our users and viewers here, sorry, not users, our viewers and audience learn more about kind of your platforms and what you're providing here?
Great. LGND.art, that's LGND.art, YoshiDrops.com, and TheUplift.world.
And I know you, I think, have a YouTube channel. Is that right? Like you do also interviews. Is that correct?
I've been so busy that I love doing that, and I used to be really into it, and I really enjoy it, and I've met some really incredible people doing it. Yeah, it's mBlue Crypto on YouTube. It's not as robust as it used to be, but I throw some stuff up there from time to time.
Awesome. And one other question before we head off. I got a few minutes still, so I wish we can go longer. But where do you fall like on this decentralization and centralization aspects? Like, I think people, at one thing, like at the beginning of this, everybody wanted everything decentralized, and then now we're seeing spectrums. Like, where do you fall in terms of that spectrum of fully decentralized or not?
I love the decentralized movement, right? But
Yeah.
there's just at this state in the game, you need some level of centralization, right? I mean, just thinking as a father, right? You're a father too. If you take decentralization to its zenith, right?
Yeah,
You will never let your children on the internet
for sure.
because you have no idea what the hell they're going to find. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
right? It's bad enough already, right?
Yeah.
With centralized control. So imagine a completely Wild West and no way to change that, right? I don't want to live in that world. So we need to find that balance of what's enough. What the important part here is the immutability of the records, right? An audit trail, like to be able to follow the money, to be able to follow the contracts, to be able to follow that really valuable data to make sure that it's not corrupted or changed, right? But when we're talking about, a completely decentralized, YouTube streaming or YouTube or this or pictures or stuff, I mean, you can only imagine some of the sickos out there, what they do. Sure. And it would just be an ugly, ugly world. So I don't buy the whole decentralize everything narrative. I think it's dangerous. And I think there needs to be this happy, governance middle, right? And I do love the thought of decentralized autonomous communities where you have a community kind of deciding and checks and balances, right? I think that is something that's really massive for the future.
Awesome. Well, I think we've come up on time here. Michael, we hope to have you back, man. We do this every month. I think we should invite you back, especially as this sector of blockchain kind of continues to grow and mature. I think there's so much more to kind of discuss and explore for our audience. But again, we want to thank you for tuning in, for joining us and talking with us today.
Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it.
And for everybody watching Reimagined, the conference, this is our 1 year anniversary, 10th edition. Super excited. Everybody's been supporting us, and this is kind of why we continue on. I've been chatting with Michael Blue, founder of LGND.art, which is LGND. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Awesome. So make sure you check that out for all you musicians, artists, Yoshi Drops, uplift.world, or uplift.art as well. We want to thank you for visiting, and hopefully you enjoy the conference. So again, Michael, thank you for joining, and we'll talk.
Thanks, Adam.